But let's move on to the hardwood. And right now we've got trade deadline buzz happening. We've got plenty of trades happening recently. And Logan, I don't know if you've looked at your phone recently, but it is 7:07 Central Time. Breaking news: the Los Angeles Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. Your initial reaction to that?
Harden's at this point. Harden's in that spot where he's a good enough. He's one of the best players in the NBA. You do not want on your team. I mean, it just I don't.
And Cleveland giving up Garland? I mean, I know he's been injury prone, but feels like he's like the engine that runs that team, even though Mitchell is the primary scorer. When Garland's on the floor, it's a totally different ball club. We noticed that in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean Harden Mitchell is an interesting backcourt. That'll be kind of fun to see it play out for a little bit
Yeah.
till it becomes frustrating to watch. And yeah, I am not the biggest fan of this trade. I do like it for Cleveland. I mean for Los Angeles, getting a dumping Hard because I mean they're not going to win. They don't have any chance of winning any title anytime soon with old stars like Kawhi and Harden as your best players. So get a little bit younger with Garland, so I don't mind too much. We just saw that break.
Yeah,
Today.
I think the Clippers win that trade.
Yeah. Else today, the Grizzlies are unloading most of their roster. They're trading Jaren Jackson Jr., John Concher, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for March Madness hero Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 first-round picks. They're also rumored to be shopping John Morant at the time, and they are wanting to they want their cornerstones to be Zach Edey and Cedric Howard is what I saw. So a rebuild, but they do like a couple of their guys, and that's probably the right move because the rest of their guys have just been injury prone, and it's what was really promising ceiling a couple of years ago. It's just not worked out, and it's probably time for the Grizzlies to move on. I don't really know what the Jazz are doing here. Like 3 first-round picks. I mean, I know they have a lot. I know they have a.
That's what the Mavericks should have gotten for Luka. Like this is for Jaren
Yeah,
Jackson Jr.
yeah. I thought the Jazz maybe could have used all those picks on a different guy because they had a lot. They had a lot to give up. Interesting trade there. Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit. Here's a more normal trade. Have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey from the Pistons to the Bulls and Mike Conley from the Timberwolves to the Bulls. Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric are going to the Pistons, and Detroit receives a 2026 first-round protected swap from the Timberwolves. Pretty good trade for both teams. Bulls were looking for a more dynamic guard, and they get one in Ivy. The Pistons are looking for shooters to put on their already good roster at the moment, first in the East, and any shooting can help. Ivy's not really known as a shooter; he's more known as a scorer. So Kevin Huerter, decent pickup for them. I like this trade for a lot. I don't know if it'll help a lot, but I don't see any big negative ramifications.
The next one will add to that for the Bulls.
Yeah, and then they sent Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick to the Celtics for Anfernee Simons and a second-round pick. Simons was pretty good for the Celtics this year.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, but
he was good for Portland too.
Yeah, so I don't know. The Bulls have a lot of guards on their team now, so yeah, almost makes the Ivy trade a little worse. I don't know. Yeah, guess Josh Giddey will have to play center now. I don't.
a lot of guards in Chicago.
Yep. So obviously, big names on the board being floated around are Giannis. We just saw James Harden being dealt, Giannis, and then of course it's this usual suspects. Every single big name who's ever been traded, it's always Warriors, Heat, Lakers, Knicks. It's always, and of course, article I saw, those are the 4 teams, and most of the time it never happens. But for some reason, those are the only 4 teams who are ever involved in trade.
Percentage chance that Giannis actually gets traded before the deadline, or is this an off-season move?
I think 20. Like I said, there's a chance. We've seen rumors of a Draymond Green possibly being shipped out of Golden State, potential for Giannis. Saw that rumor being floated around. That could be interesting. Yeah, and then I've also heard Anthony Davis's name being floated around in trade value. Obviously, he's hurt. I don't know if he's going to be back this year. And I don't know why any team would want him because he's so injury prone. He's pretty much in that James Harden class at this point. Well, no, I wouldn't, because he'd be good on a good team. If you put him on a really good team already, that'd be great. Harden, I feel like if he goes to a good team, that just kind of ruins it. I think Davis could still be good. You just don't want him as your number one guy. You just do not want him as your number one guy. So a team that already has an established guard play, I think Davis would be a decent trade pickup for them.
I just almost think with the Giannis, it's like he is such a generational talent. He's like top 4 in the league. I just don't know if any team has enough to give up or would want to give up everything that they've got. I feel like the Warriors would have to just give them half their roster, give the Bucks half their roster in order to get this deal done with Giannis.
Yeah, maybe they can finally get rid of Jonathan Kuminga, whose name has been in the trade rumor market for like 3 years. So
they wish. Okay, so in the spirit of the trade deadline, we got that coming up in a couple of days. I thought we'd look at some of the biggest, most shocking, just biggest deals that have ever been dealt at the trade deadline in NBA history. Gathered up a list here. We can talk about them. Funny enough, they're all in the 21st century. Teams just didn't trade their star players back in the day, in the 90s and before. Obviously, leading off this list is the Lakers acquiring Luka Doncic last year. It's probably the most shocking trade in NBA history. Just not only like who's involved, or what the Mavericks got, or what the Mavericks got back for Luka, but also just when it happened. Like it was, I think I remember it so vividly. Like I was up really late. It was like 1 a.m. Central Time, and I see the alert come through, and I didn't think it was real. It's just still one of the craziest trades I've ever seen. I don't think anything will ever top that. I don't just the circumstances, the way they are, the way they were then. Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts to share on this trade that happened last year?
Well, they got. I mean, I woke up to it. I went to bed early that night, so I remember I woke up to it and had to do a double take. Yeah. So basically, Mavericks got Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag, and oh no, they didn't know they were going to get the first overall pick. Yes, they did. Everyone knows that. The NBA can deny it as much as they want. We all know that was a part of the trade. Yeah, I don't think anything will top it, and I think these NBA insiders are going to hype up the trade deadline for the next couple of years because of this, and it's going to be ultimately a disappointment.
Can we go back to when insiders weren't like TV personalities?
When did that
happen? Like, why is
they became analysts? Yeah, they should just be insiders. Like doing, they're not analysts.
I don't know why.
Why are they on segments talking about the game? Like,
but Shams Charania, Adam Schefter, they're like on these shows where they're like giving takes, they're giving opinions about teams and everything. I was like, just give us the scoop. We don't need you to be TV personalities.
Great point. Other trades in the past trade deadline, we got KD to the Suns in 2023.
That was a haul.
Didn't like that one at the time, and turned out not to be very good. DeMarcus Cousins to the Pelicans in 2017. That was a big one because Cousins was a very good player trapped in a very horrible organization, and he went to the Pelicans with AD, and there was a bit of fun there. They made it to the second round, but ultimately,
Kentucky boys.
It's New Orleans. It was too big. It wasn't going to work, and it didn't work out. 11, Carmelo Anthony going from the Nuggets to the Knicks.
I like that one.
That was a big one. That was a fun trade. Made to Carmelo to Madison Square Garden, where he had a few good years there. And then very impactful one, led to a couple titles, was Pau Gasol from the Grizzlies to the Lakers in 2008. Lakers definitely would not have been title contenders in the late 2000s.
Absolute steal. Absolute steal. So the Lakers got Pau Gasol in a second-round pick, and it was basically a Gasol for a Gasol. And then scrubs. The Grizzlies got Mark Kwame Brown, one of the biggest busts in NBA history, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKee, and 2 first-round draft picks. I don't know what those draft picks ended up becoming for the Grizzlies. Maybe Mike Conley the next season.
I don't know. I almost think he was already there. And then last year was also Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. That happened at the trade deadline as well, which normally would be the biggest trade of the year, but the Luka trade unfortunately happened for a few days before that, so it kind of lost a little bit of its luster.
Yeah. A couple hidden ones back in like the 2000s. The Sonics acquiring Ray Allen in 03. Sonics got Allen, Kevin Ollie, Ronald Murray, and a conditional first-round pick, and then the Bucks got Gary Payton and Desmond Mason. So an old Gary Payton.
UConn legend Kevin
Ollie. Yeah. Always forget he coached that
2014
team. 2014. Yeah, I always think about a Calhoun, and then obviously now Hurley. But there was that team that Ollie took to the championship. 26ers acquiring James Harden in 2022. This is where the Sixers received Harden and Paul Millsap. The Nets got Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond, along with some picks.
Yeah, that was a lose-lose, and yeah,
and then Mavericks getting Jason Kidd from the Nets in 2008. That would ultimately not pay off like immediately, but in 2011, obviously being a big part of that championship team in Dallas.
Yeah, I would say the Gasol one was more impactful because they won 2 titles and Gasol's in his prime, but
immediately too.
It's close to the level of that because they probably would not have won the championship if Kidd wasn't there, point guards.
And then the last one I had here was the Nets getting Darren Williams in 2011. Nets got Williams. Jazz received Derek Favors, Devin Harris, and some picks. I think this one was more popular because of the rift between Darren Williams and Jerry Sloan, the coach at the time for the Jazz, who had just absolutely, their relationship had soured at that point.
And the Nets were just unbelievably awful at that time. If you recall, they were like 12-70 or something like that.
Remember when it was like one of the first Brooklyn teams, and it was like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite teams, but they were terrible.
That's up there for worst trades of all time because it gave Boston a boatload of picks that ultimately ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, while the Nets. I don't even know. Did they make it to the second round, or I don't even know if they made it out of the first round with that core. I
don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good trade by the Nets to get Darren Williams because they were just absolutely terrible. So that gave them a little bit of a spark for a little bit. But it didn't lead to much.
Yep.